Hi, welcome to Illuminated Tarot. My name is Jenna. Today I'm here to do a collective reading for the week of March 24th through the 30th. We're now officially fully in Aries season. Happy birthday to all of you Aries tuning in. This is all hail Aries. We have so much going on in this astrological sign. We have a partial solar eclipse. We have an eclipse week coming in. We have a new moon in Aries. We also have Neptune shifting into Aries. So really pay attention to wherever Aries falls in your chart, because this is where you will be the most impacted by all of the astrology that is coming in and has been entering in. I do believe when we under these major astrological influences, they kind of seep in slowly, they trickle in, and then you feel the full effect. So by this weekend, we have that new moon coming in on Friday. And eclipses are these portals of energy where the solar eclipses, at least, they last 6 months. So it's a time where chapters are ending, new chapters are beginning. And because everything's falling into Aries, this is around our identity. It's around how we move through the world, how other people perceive us, and what we want to initiate, how we want to take action towards our deepest desires. We have the influence of Neptune, which hasn't been in the sign of Aries. Let me look at the dates, just so you know. Neptune has been in Pisces for the last 13 years, but it's changing signs on the 30th, arriving in Aries. And no one alive has ever experienced it as Neptune in Aries since 1862 to 1875. So there'll be a deepening of mysticism and intuitive discoveries, more of that spiritual, new age epiphanies for the collective will be very prevalent once this aspect hits. So I believe that with this Neptunian influence as the undercurrent, think of it as the deeper current, the deeper tides of the ocean, because that's Neptune. And then more when you get to the solar effect on that ocean, it really has a lot to do with the acceleration of our movement forward, because that's what eclipses bring. What would normally take months to experience, we can experience them in a matter of days or weeks as far as these influences of energy. So what are you being called to initiate? What are you ready to move forward on at this time? What part of your life is going to require you to be more brave, to bring a fresh perspective? We also still have Mercury and Venus in retrograde. So I think the difficulty here is that as we're witnessing and co-creating with these cosmic forces, we're also feeling like this push-pull, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, in, out, up, down energies. And so this is when we really need to be anchoring into our own divine wisdom, our own inner silence. All of these, it's almost like the tides are, we're in the middle of the wave, and sometimes we're hitting the shore, sometimes we're being pulled under. And so when we are, and you learn this too, when you are surfing or when you're in the ocean, is if the current has got a hold of you, you need to relax your body and just let go and float. So whatever is hitting you at this time, in any relationship that you are going through some of these lessons, all right? The other current here that's affecting the tide is Lilith. And I'm going to talk about this more because Lilith is entering Scorpio this week as well. And it's been about a decade since we've had Lilith in Scorpio, which means there's a deeper pull in our desires. We're going to feel like this more primal, yell springing forth from our soul's desires. What do we want to emotionally and physically transform in our lives? So it's almost like this deep rebirth, reset with all of these energies. And then with that Lilith, that divine goddess within, I do believe that we've been seeing this even with that lunar eclipse. So I think all this to say is that we are in the midst of great astrological changes that are impacting all of us. They're hitting our lives in unique and interesting ways. And so the shadow work that we're doing with these retrograde planets and Mercury and Venus is really acting as our lessons, and then the propellant of the solar eclipse as we tie up these lessons and make peace with old cycles so we can begin fresh and new and take action on our deeper desires, where maybe we were thwarted a little bit in the past, and now we're being guided to move forward, learn from it so we don't repeat it. So I hope that all makes sense. Again, the two things you need to remember is that you are not a witness to these cosmic forces. You are a co-creator with them. So set these intentions on the eclipse. The eclipse is happening on Saturday or in the early morning on the east coast of the U.S. The new moon is coming in Friday preceding that. So this is about the catalyst that we need to bring meaningful changes into our lives. So dig deep, find that courage to begin anew, open doorways where you maybe have been hesitant to move through. And this is the time, more than any other time, to ignite our path and move forward with our soul's desires. So there's a few quotes I want to, before I pull cards, I was already getting into it. I'm going to just read a few quotes today because I feel like the bulk of this reading, I really want to focus on the divination part. So I have a few quotes from Young Pueblo, and I have a quote from The Alchemist. When you hear the word higher, think of it as deeper. The higher consciousness is, the deeper it can perceive. Let me read that again. The higher consciousness is, the deeper it can perceive. This is the paradox. The higher something is, the deeper it has become. I love that analogy because we do think of vibration in terms of higher, but it really is deeper. And the deeper we go, the more layers we shed. It is very much like that Russian doll. We go deeper and deeper, or you can think of it as trees, the rings on the trees, the rings of an onion. We just keep peeling back, and we all arrive at that cosmic center. That's a great quote from The Alchemist. She posted that about a week or two ago. And now, Young Pueblo, which I've been sitting with this one for a while, and it's very true. The unpopular truth is that healing is gradual. It usually looks like letting go of the same thing 100 times. Isn't that not true? And I have been reading this. Don't think that I'm that far into it, but I did find a quote that I thought would be applicable to the energies of the week. So as we uncover these deep emotional discoveries with Neptune and all of the Aries influence, personal discoveries around our deepest desires, as we open up new doorways to the future, I wanted to read you a quote around what going with the flow really means, because I talk about it a lot on this channel around surrender. And I thought this was a really good clarification that Young mentioned around going with the flow. Going with the flow does not mean you sit back passively and expect everything to work out. Going with the flow means you don't cause yourself stress by fighting changes that are out of your control. Like I said, this week feels like there's this deep undertow of the shadow. And that's what the solar eclipse is actually illuminating, the collective, and allowing us to look at the trauma that we've played out, how to learn from it. And it's almost like this amalgamation point of, they're giving me like when you, this is kind of graphic, but when you brand, you do any kind of branding, and I'm thinking of it as a tattoo. I saw a tattoo. It's like we've all been tattooed by our trauma, but it doesn't define us. It actually shapes our lives in remarkable ways. And whatever trauma that you have experienced, I'm sorry for the pain that you've had to endure. At the same time, I think that when we look back at the trauma that we've all experienced, both personally and collectively, the biggest thing that it reminds me is that, no one gets out of here alive without it. It's the one thing that we can all relate to. Not only is it the love that we share that binds us, but it's also the pain of grief, of loss, of things that are out of our control. And the biggest thing that we need to do is surrender to the flow of that and recognize where we don't need to control. I do think that for the most part, Spirit has a greater plan, most often. And it's when our need to cling or our need to control out of fear tends to create the most resistance. So let's now get into the divination part. I'm going to put my glasses on because these are hard to see. And let's call spirit in. Thank you for joining me today, everyone. It's a very calm morning here. It's very rainy. The weather, too, you may be noticing, not only is this tide pulling the energy frequencies in and out, up and down, the weather, too, is we're in that precarious position where one day it's really warm, the next day it's supposed to snow today. So, but really take advantage of this cosmic reset button this week. It's almost like we get to just lay a chapter to rest, and we can look at the next 6 months as a new opportunity to start fresh. All right. Let's see what the Queen of the Sun Oracle has to say. We have Order, Ra, of course. Ra's going to come out. We have the Eagle's Perch, the Eagle's Perspective. Ra is our power. It is the power of the sun. So this is about our personal power around leadership. Our focus on a new beginning. Yeah. We have, for the numerology, we have 34. We have 344. 44 has been coming up a lot. It's a master number. It's an angelic frequency. And then we have 3. Oh my gosh, we have 33 and 44. So, like I said, interesting. See how she's being churned? In this state of resistance, spirit, I felt it. I felt it that some people have been dealing with quite a bit of emotional turbulence. You know, the whirlpool, not the good kind of a hot tub, but the whirlpool of feeling almost like events have been out of your control. And like I said, when you're in the midst of any kind of resistance that's bringing up emotional turmoil or any kind of spike in your feeling state, this is the week where the sun's going to bring some calmer energies, where there will be a little bit more order, and that we need to keep our focus not on staying in a place of resistance. Like I said, it's when there's a big reason why I read that quote about control, right? Let me remind you again, it does not mean that we sit back passively. It means that we don't cause ourselves stress by fighting the changes. It's about surrendering control. And how hard is that? For us, very hard. So I think we have this air influence in this turbulence here where we can calm our reactivity down with the Mercury in retrograde and to focus on what the lunar eclipse brought in. I think the lunar eclipse brought in this awareness, and we went into this void where we started to really think and ponder about our next moves, about what's going to be the best for us moving forward. So this week, I think that the focus needs to be on keeping that candle lit around the things that you're building in your life and focusing on the new. Instead of any kind of disorganized, disordered thinking that's going to create more emotional turbulence. So this is when we get into that flow state. Like I said, don't resist. This is a matter of just surrendering and letting go and going with the flow. Again, 33, 44. So we have this aspect of divine wisdom through the sun god Ra around how we can shoot ourselves in the foot by being resistant to the things that are happening that we may not like. It's okay. Sometimes we're not going to like what's going on around us or within us. And I think that needs to be stated here. Just because things are out of your control, you still have an opinion about it. But it's a matter of perspective. Spirit really wants us to be focusing our energies on the new beginning, not on the places in us where we've been resistant to that. So like I said, this is the time to have courage to open up new doorways that you may have been resistant to open. And what have you been resistant in your life around? Is it starting that new project? Is it deepening a bond in your life? You know, we get to reset, reboot, right? It's when we turn a computer on and we get to reboot. Feels like, yeah, it's an energetic reboot. So we have to be mindful of where we put our energies this week. Like I said, deeper. Let's see what the tarot has to say. What does the collective not see coming this week? Page of Swords. Interesting sideways. News. Interesting news. Unexpected news. News you need to take a minute to like really sit with. This is also doing the research, making sure you understand the scope of things, because with the eagle's perspective, it's looking at the bigger picture. Ooh, this wants to come out in reverse. Ace of Swords. Oh, you know what? Too, with the Lilith going into Scorpio, there could be a little bit of disillusionment where we maybe feel like we don't have clarity. Maybe this is the week where we need to get clear, right? All this air energy. Ace of Swords is not looking at the truth, not honoring the truth in the way we communicate, in the way we perceive events and things. Ooh, this is about the truth of our sovereignty. Nine of Pentacles. This is a deep spiritual truth for the entire collective. When we get attached to things, it creates resistance. Attached to outcomes. Ooh, now we have the Six of Swords in reverse. Yee! I'll tell you, it's almost like we're stuck in the middle of the sea and the paddle is like breaking. And we're like, oh my God, how am I going to get to the other shore? Well, this is when you call upon the divine. And there are larger forces at play. There might be some resistance around shutting the door to the past. Whatever it is that you've had a difficult time releasing, I think that this solar eclipse is going to shine a light on that this week. Where are you not being honest with yourself around resisting moving to the other side to calmer waters? This is when we struggle with something, to accept something. And it's hitting around our personal sovereignty. So interesting. I want to get a few more. All swords. So this is all up in the mind. From the page to the ace to the six. It's like whatever you haven't been honest with yourself about, or someone hasn't been honest with you about, it's almost like so much pressure around it that it needs to be, like there needs to be some sort of relief valve. It all comes down to communication. There's another swords card. Holy smokes, is there a lot of air coming in? It is. It's like hard to face endings. This is the ending of something. Like I said, there is a cosmic reset button. But in order to begin anew, we have to lay the past to rest. I think this is a collective karmic releasing purification point. I've been getting that in a lot of the readings. And it's hard because we're looking at, it's like when we hold on to bitterness or resentment or feeling wronged and recognizing that why couldn't that person or that situation play out differently? Why did they do that? This is when we ask why, and there really is no answer. You have to come up with what is true for you around your own karmic lessons. And at the end of the day, it really is about moving forward and not staying stuck. Because that's the wounded energy. Healthy mental energy moves on, moves forward. Let's go. Through the purification of that resistance, we surrender. And we let go of control. We don't struggle. We don't fight. We don't resist. Queen of Wands. And I told you, around our deepest desires. Whew. There's no majors, so I feel like this might be a little bit smoother than it may look. But it is about seeing the truth. Really looking at it. Cold, hard truth about something. I think a lot of us have been gathering the facts. Don't ignore what you've learned in the last few weeks about a situation. Just don't ignore the truth. And I think you could be dealing with someone or something where there is a denial of the truth. And whomever or whatever wants to deny the truth, you cannot change that. You cannot change that person. It's like you can, say all you want about a situation, but we all arrive at our own truth when we're ready to. And some people, if they're not ready to face their own truth, There's nothing that you can do. I think this sun is illuminating. We have the sun at the bottom. The karmic changes around the things that we need to see that are going to stand the test of time, that will be sturdy, foundational relationships. Look at that. This is so fascinating. We have the sun and the moon, right? We had this lunar eclipse. We have the solar eclipse. And what stands between them are the karmic changes and lessons that we all have been facing around feeling secure. So this is the time we need to get honest with ourselves about the bonds, the people, places, and things. This is a rite of passage. We're all going through a rite of passage collectively as we face these karmic changes. The wheel is turning. And so whatever it is that has been shifting foundationally in your life, in between the solar and lunar eclipse, I think that we're going to be celebrating new bonds coming in, but we're also mourning and grieving bonds that have left. That maybe they won't be the same, but we get the chance to rebuild them only if two people are willing to be honest. Now, this comes down to friends, family. We've all had a few connections that have been going through the throes of change, unexpected change. And that's what the wheel brings. Karmic changes, things that we have swept under the rug, our subconscious beliefs about our own happiness, our own desires are being illuminated this week. So go through this rite of passage as a karmic rite of passage around fated endings, karmic transformations, karmic pulls, karmic attractions. This Venus in retrograde cycle, the last 18 months has been pretty huge for the collective. We're looking at the last 2 years as well. This whole eclipse season has been the last 2 years. April 2 years ago. Think about everything that's happened to you the last 2 years. Oh my God. It's almost like we've been in this pressure cooker of just so much flux. Everything's been in flux. So I feel like we've been churned. Now Ra's like, let's bring order back to the collective. We need to focus on our new beginning now. Okay? What has happened has happened. Whatever transgressions, it got you fired up. It got you taking a look at your life. It got you taking a look at what you really believe about your life. And whoever wants to stay in denial or disillusionment, you're going to have to let them. You've done the research, right? Now it's time to accept the truth. Let's clarify. I want to clarify the Four of Wands. We have all these majors surrounding this Four of Wands. What is it that we're trying to build? I'm looking for my light seers. Yeah. It's like, where did the light go? We've got that candle burning. It's almost like, when they're actually showing me like when we have a blackout and the power goes out and we look at our homes, our environments in a different way because we don't have the power. We turn the candles on. It's like this whole different aura. It's almost like the power has had to go out so we could look at our lives differently. That's this whole last 2 years. And now the light's being turned back on. And now we're looking around and we're like, we're not taking for granted the things that are in our lives that really matter to us. And I think that's what this whole purging has been about. Who really matters to you? What really matters to you? And what do you want to build? I already feel that energy of the Four of Wands. Oh, man. All right, let's see. Four of Wands, the Emperor. It is about our power and our sovereignty. The Emperor and the Nine of Pentacles. Four of Wands. The Hierophant, our values, our commitment to our spiritual growth, our own authentic truth. Oh, and our intuition. Wow. And then we have the Ten of Cups at the bottom. You all, I feel like it's almost like a karmic clearing. Look at this week that way. Some of the stuff you've been through doesn't make sense. You may be baffled by some of the events that you've had to endure. But you know what? It is a karmic clearing. So like I said, we could go deeper into the trees, the rings of the tree. I want to say that backwards. And maybe you've had to feel like things have had to go backwards so they can go forwards. Life has a funny way of working that way, but I do see everyone stepping into this beautiful Aries energy of sovereignty and personal power, reaching for more, right? What are you calling in? What are you intending for your path? What are you activating in response to all these cosmic forces? And what are you divining and intuiting about what you ultimately want to commit to when it comes to your own personal fulfillment and happiness? I feel like a lot of us are being realigned onto this high timeline, a high vibrational timeline, but we've had to remove people, remove situations. And you know, there have been karmic relationships that have served all of the lessons. I mean, I bet you everyone watching has had to let go of a friend, family member, a past lover, a spouse, somebody in the last 2 years. And it permanently rocked your foundation. Some of you are still going through letting go. It's funny. It's like sometimes we have to go through the Ten of Swords to find our Ten of Cups. And that's the order of the universe, right? But stay committed to what you value. And that's the one thing that this has cleared up for you. What do you value? What do you value? Right? If you value truth, integrity, honest communication, transparency, then don't settle for anything less than that. I think now we understand what we want and need. And now it's a time to not sacrifice self anymore for that. And I think that's what we've been wrapping up the last couple of years. I'm going to get a few overall lessons for the collective around this week and what we're wrapping up. I will take a step back from unhealthy relationships. And that's with anyone in your life, whether it's a coworker and you're like, you know what? They invade my personal space. I get the heebie-jeebies, right? I don't like it, right? Pull back. Don't share as much, right? Have healthy boundaries. If it's a family member and they're constantly, judgmental or in a negative energy, that's what we've been doing. Because when we spend too much time in unhealthy bonds, we're actually taking up too much space we should have for healthier bonds. And that's what Spirit's saying. Put an end to the things that feel like you will never move forward to the other side of being in a calmer place, calmer waters, where you belong. We belong to be in connections that make us feel peaceful, fulfilled, open, safe, nurtured. The Ten of Cups. That's what we're reaching for. Our personal power around healthy relationships. Keep your focus, okay? Keep your focus. What's the other one? I know there's another one. I can feel it. Whoa, there's a couple. All right. These are all the lessons of the last few years as we wrap up this cycle, this eclipse cycle that spanned 2 years between the solar eclipses and the lunar eclipses since April of 2023. I'm okay with not being okay. Yeah. Does she look okay? She looks pretty pissed. How many times have we all been pissed off the last 2 years? Oh, God. Too many to count, right? And that's okay. There's a time and a place, right, to have our radical, righteous anger. And it's okay to not be okay sometimes. We learn from it. I learned to care for myself by addressing my wants and needs, and that's what it put us all on the path of focusing on our sovereignty, on our own selves. I can choose to do things differently. That's what we're doing now. I am worthy of joy and ease, and I release the habit of reacting in the moment. Oh my God, these are all very huge lessons. Can you imagine if all of us, I'm telling you, if all of us, we have 2 around letting go, big forces right now, purification, purging. 1 around our personal power. We must let go to gain our power. Self-love is needed. That's the special sauce, right? The secret sauce to all of it is self-love. And then boundaries is the other component. It's like these are all the ingredients of radical transformation to step into a non-ordinary life where we are accelerating in the energies and we're learning from the past. So we can create a bold, new, deeper, activated, higher consciousness in our future. We become the alchemist when we do this. You are worthy of joy and ease. It's okay to not be okay. What did it serve you, though? What did you learn from it? You learned that you needed to start addressing your wants and needs, and you can do things differently. We get practice, especially around being non-reactive. And that's the thing I think all of us have learned, how to be non-reactive. Let's get a Yeah, this feels like a big karmic wrapping up. Big, major. These last 2 years have been probably, and my solar plexus, it's interesting, my solar plexus starts to get activated. That's what it's served. It's served the seat of our power. Because when you give up your power, you stay stuck, right? Like I said, where's the wind? I'm stuck in the middle of, I'm not where I was. I'm not where I'm going to. I'm just right here. So there's a big part of the collective that won't move forward. They might not necessarily move backward either. They're kind of in this purgatory point. And that's not for you to control. There are people among us that want to stay in the illusion. They don't want to see the truth, the spiritual truth. Interesting. This feels like a great chasm between higher consciousness and lower consciousness, and the people that are doing deep, deep healing work and moving forward deeper, deeper, deeper. Let's get a few consciousness energies. Transparency. And I told you, isn't that what a lot of us have figured out we truly value? If you're dealing with anyone who can't be transparent with you, bye. It sucks, doesn't it? It really sucks when people aren't transparent. You got to sit there and figure out, what are they really thinking and feeling? You know how much of a waste of energy that is? Transparency. The energy of transparency supports our expansion toward a higher vibrational state of being with more insight, honesty, and clarity. I've rarely pulled this out. The second chakra, the energy of the sacral chakra, helps us to navigate our lives through our emotions and supports our ability to enjoy the sensual world. That's the Scorpio and Lilith. This is when we're really going to be activated around our deepest desires, our emotional desires, our physical desires. I'm going to say physical instead of sexual. I don't want to trigger anybody, but there is going to be this activation point from this week on for the rest of the year around this push, around liberating parts of ourselves that we hide from other people, to deepen, to be more exposed in every way, in connection, to deepen intimacy. It requires total transparency. So we can now become more soulful as a collective. Wow. Spirit is washing away anything that's not going to be transparent and fully supporting our emotional states through insight, honesty, and clarity. The energy of soul activates our connection to the part of us that is closer to the higher realms, God, or the divine. I'll tell you, it's a deepening. And we have numerology 43, which is 7, 2, and then 10, 1. So we have this beautiful spiritual activation around our partnerships. That's the new beginning that we need to stay focused on. Focus on the partnerships that make you feel alive, that feel safe, that are transparent, that have clarity, that feel like they can just go, there's no end to the depth. That's the new earth. That is where we're headed. So anything that isn't that is going to stay stuck in illusion or disillusionment or non-truth, 10 of Swords it. That's what Spirit's saying. And I know it's hard. But if you don't, you're going to stay stuck. And it's going to dampen your Queen of Wands energy, which is your personal fire. It's your personal sovereignty, where you don't want to limit your aspect of achieving the 10 of Cups. So it's a sacrifice. That's what I'm getting here. It's a sacrifice. I want to get a few higher consciousness energies. I'm just pulling it all out today. That's what it feels like. This solar eclipse is really exposing the truth of where we're all vibrating and what's a match and what isn't. And it's time to get honest about it. I told you, we're doing this deep purification, this Neptunian energy. It's cleansing our intuitive waters so we can deepen. They told me, look at the bottom of the deck. And it's all about self-love and nurturing. And my voice got shaky in that. We're at a crossroads. We're awakening to our divine gifts through the Akash. Awakening to our gifts of divinity. It requires us to be nurtured by the light of the sun. We're facing these crossroads where it's time to deeply purify and cleanse our inner resistance. We're all facing certain truths. This is the time to evolve and to accept the truth of whatever you've had to deal with the last few years that have been your karmic soup. Your karmic soup. All of us have been swimming in our own little karmic soup of karmic transformation. And you may see connections actually transform before your very eyes. This is an activation point. But whatever truth that may be revealed to you this week, accept it, honor it, bless it. Cleanse your emotional waters of the past, you all, and move forward. And really, when it comes to all of your connections, pour into the ones that pour back into you. Okay? You deserve that. You deserve that. Let's get some advice from Spirit. Deeply, deeply karmic clearing. I'm going to get some, actually, I'm going to wait on the advice. We're going to wait on that. I'm going to pull from Mark Pueblo. We're going to read. I noticed that it was a very short one this week. This is Monday I'm reading for. This is the 24th. Even in the dark. To be broken is no reason to see all things as broken. Seldom seen, growing along the ocean floor, the white-plumed anemone is a watery blossom. It is white lace, opening under tons of black, opening as if bathed in the sun, while so far from the sun. This is the trick to staying well, isn't it? To feel the sun, even in the dark. I was talking about that with the lights going out. To not lose the truth of things when they go out of view. When we had the Ace of Swords in reverse. Interesting. To grow just the same. To know there is still water even when we are thirsty. To know there is still love even when we are lonely. To know there is still peace even when we are suffering. None of this invalidates our pain, but only strengthens our way back into the light. That's what it's all about. It strengthens our way back into the light, whatever we go through. Close your eyes and feel the fact of the sun. It will be there when you can see again. Inhale deeply through the part of your heart that is closed and feel the fact of love. It will be there when you can feel again. Breathe slowly through the part of you that doubts and feel the fact of life. It will be there when you can open your spirit as you did when you were born. Wow. Wow. Even in the dark. Wow. He always nails the energy, and I always only read for that Monday, which is the 24th today. I'll tell you right, there is so much mysticism that we are about to experience in the collective, in the deepening. Like the alchemist says, the paradox, the higher something is, the deeper it has become. So go deep, you all, go deep. We don't even know how deep we can go as a collective. All right. But we're straddling all this karmic change around the shifting our foundational energies, going through this rite of passage. They laid it out perfectly this morning around our personal power and trusting our intuition and staying true to what we value so we can stand our own true sovereignty, so we can actually experience the 10 of Cups. I love all this fiery Aries energy. It's awesome. All right. Let's get some advice. What is the advice, Spirit, for the collective for the week ahead? The Queen of Swords. Boundaries, right? Making intelligent decisions, but having compassion. Staying in our truth and integrity. More of that Wands. Oops. We have the Two of Pentacles that want to come out. We also had this sneaking with it. Justice. Ooh. All right. So we have this very strong truth. Truth is very important this week. What is the truth? What are the facts? Who is not being honest, right? Someone might be dishonest around you, and it's going to be exposed. This is the sun. It illuminates everything. So whatever you maybe not be seeing the truth of something, or someone else may not be seeing the truth of something in a situation, I feel like this is the week it's going to become illuminated, especially around anything that we are juggling two minds. This is the time for us to get balanced within and to make these important decisions. I want to get a few more. Very strong Libran energy around just the facts. Ooh, and especially around our desires. King of Wands. So when it comes to moving forward with our desires in this cosmic reset point, this is about fairness and about having healthy boundaries. So anything that puts you in this imbalanced state, the in-between, right? Being stuck in the middle of the water between the past and the future. This is about staying present, but not staying stuck in a situation. So whatever you're juggling, this is the decision where you need to gather the facts and make a final decision, because we're wrapping up a 2-year cycle and now we're ready to move forward with our desires. Interesting how we had the Queen of Wands. This is when we're not split in what we're saying to the universe with what we want. This is a time where we need to use these energies wisely. So don't be split in your manifestations. What you want, you mean it. You mean it. You don't hide from it. You don't dilute it. You mean it. And you move forward with it. This is when we actually call upon the divine with our deepest desires, and we mean it. And we emphatically intend it, and we state it as fact. No wobble. There's no wobble when it comes to the Justice and the Queen of Swords. And this is around our deepest desires. Woo! And remove anything that cannot be trusted, all right? Or is going to make you overthink the hell out of it. Okay? I'm telling you, it makes you just be in this state of resistance. And that doesn't look good, right? All right, let's get a final Keeper of the Light. And then we'll end the reading. This one feels fiery today. Of course, Joan of Arc comes out because we have all of this swords energy and she's carrying. It's like your path is divinely protected. This is the time where we need to express our truth about what we feel and what we want. And if you don't, or whatever you're dealing with doesn't, it could be very well a missed opportunity. Because I feel like this pressure, there's no more time to waste around being convoluted or undecided or in denial. We have stand strong, focus on your purpose, release the fear of persecution, and speak your truth. Woo! Speak your truth, folks. This is when you tell that, if you've been biting your tongue around really standing up and speaking on behalf of your own inner truth, this is the time period where I think you're going to do it. All right. You are being encouraged to stand strong. You may feel unrecognized and misunderstood, but that doesn't mean you have to give up on the mission you feel called to fulfill. You must follow the will of your soul and exercise your leadership spirit by speaking your truth. You may feel as if you were on a battlefield, but this conflict will come to an end as soon as you stop defending yourself. That's big. There's no need to defend yourself because you know the truth. You are not here to prove yourself to others. Instead, approve of yourself. Know that your angels are on your side and that heaven is thanking you for being the honest soul you are. Oh, wow. Talk about transparency this week. A lot came out today. My goodness. I'm going to get one more. Why not? Let's get one more. Wow, I'm at 43 minutes. Embrace your freedom, folks. And new love. A lot of people are finding their actual divine soulmates in this new 2-year cycle. So whatever you've had to learn karmically in your relationships, because I know a lot of people who follow me are either single by choice or self-partnered, or they do want someone, but they're not going to put up with any BS from any dishonest motives or dishonest intentions or half in, half out type of experiences anymore. I am free to create my own reality and new love. I'm open to love in all forms. And this is the new air, the new earth, new love vibration, where it's full of truth and transparency. That's the only way, folks. It's the only way. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this reading. All right, folks. Wow, that was an intense reading. I felt like there was a lot of energy that wanted to come out. I feel this fiery. I mean, it's all Aries, so why not? It could be kind of an intense week. So make sure you do a lot of self-care this week to stay grounded in it all. So, announcements. I'm very delighted to say that I believe there's only one spot left with the container that I'm doing with Mary, with Connect the Cosmic Dots. The Walk With Me program that's starting up in a few weeks. Well, I'd say, it's where are we at? Mid-March. It's about a month out, I believe. Go to her for the dates. She's the one who's leading this whole cohort. And I cannot wait. For those of you who have signed up, I cannot wait to get to know you. I cannot wait to participate in this container. And I just wanted you to know that if you have signed up and it was an immediate yes and you knew it, I want to applaud you for that knowing. And I know we're going to be creating some amazing things together out of this container. And I think too, Mary is probably going to be doing another second group at some point, but for now, I think there's only one spot left, but she's still doing one-on-one mentorships. And I'm always still promoting, I like to promote other business owners. It's really just what I do. I had a brick and mortar business where I rented out to other business owners, and it's just my mindset. Helping other women, helping other businesses, it helps me as well, right? And it's done because we're all here to support each other's growth and expansion and deepening. So with that being said, if you are curious about what she has to offer, or if you're curious about getting an astrology reading or a personal private tarot reading from me, all of the links are in the description box below. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week. Stay grounded. Keep doing the cleansing work that you're doing, absolving yourself of the past, the past pain, right? Ten of Swords is pain. So we don't have to keep repeating those cycles, but we have to recognize the truth, right? And I will tell you, a lot of times when I have gotten myself into situations that really hurt me bad, it's when I wasn't really listening to the truth of the situation. I was trying to control something that was never going to be healthy for me. So listen to that about anything that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with anyone who's not being communicative or transparent with you, chances are they're just not ready to, and that's okay. You have to bless them and wish them well, but move away from it, okay? All right, my dears, take care. I'll see you in the next one.